Intro to budgeting. I'm pumped. We're starting to get into the meat here. Budgeting. What is a budget and why? Why are they so dang important? Why are they so dang important, those budgets? A budget boils down to keeping track of what money is coming in and what money is going out. And how do we ensure we get to hold on to as much money as we can? Setting the foundation to where your money is going. Budgeting allows you to see the sources of income you have. Once again, money coming in and the expenses you have, money going out. It's in simple terms. A budget could be seen as income minus expenses. That's what budgeting is. Many people refer to budgets as a guide for your spending. Me, I disagree. This is your financial constitution. Your financial well-being is built off of this. Once you've made a budget for any given period of time, you have to stick to it down to the T. I believe that every dollar should have a purpose, or budgeting down to zero. You'll hear that sometimes, meaning every dollar that comes in is accounted for and spent in some capacity. Even if it's saved, it's spent. Does that make sense? It's spent on savings. Basically, the dollar is used. It's used in a proper way, a way that's intentional. So budgets are time-based and renewed after a certain time period. That's why we hear terms like a monthly budget or a weekly budget thrown around. I get paid every 2 weeks and I do a monthly budget. I usually recommend doing a monthly budget for most everyone and tracking your spending every day. Checking in on your budget and your spending at a certain time each day. You want to do this daily. So budgets, my thoughts, budgets are for the wealthy. There's still a little stigma that budgets are for penny pinchers and cheap individuals. Once again, incorrect. Debunked here in this course. Budgets are for masterminds. Even the richest and wealthiest people on earth have a budget because they can't spend more than they have. That's how they go broke. That's how people go broke. Lottery winners, most go broke. They spend more than what they have. They think that money is infinite. To retain wealth, you have to spend less than you make, and budgets ensure that happens. So budgets are setting the foundation to where your money is going. Budgeting allows you to see the sources of income you have, money coming in, expenses you have, money going out. In simple terms, budget is essentially income minus expenses. That's what budgeting is. Income minus expenses is a positive number. That's a good sign. When it's a negative number, some serious correcting needs to be done. So there's two categories that I like to put my mind into when it comes to budgeting: necessities and non-necessities. All budgets have these two primary buckets. You can call them essentials and non-essentials, safety and survival, whatever, however you want to name it. Things that are required to be alive and things that are for pleasure or enjoyment. So essentials will be things like your rent and mortgage, home insurance, your place of living, then utilities for your place of living, income earning expenses like internet and phone, transportation, health insurance, food, and giving. Non-essentials being anything that isn't what I just stated. So like cable TV are non-essentials. Streaming services such as Netflix, Hulu, Spotify, Apple Music, Disney Plus, any of those, non-essentials. Eating out, non-essential. Bars, clubs, miscellaneous entertainment, traveling and vacation expenses, non-essential. Shopping, non-essential. None of these things help you to stay alive. Those are all nice to haves. There's a nice little chart for you right there, and we're going to keep going. Budgeting priority list. This is how I view things in priority lists, and I think it's a great place to start from. So this is the order in which things should be paid when allocating funds. Most financial experts would disagree with me that the first thing we should do is give, but I think giving and being generous is one of the most important things that we can do with our money. So I put it first. Positively impacting people with our dollars. It's very important. Keep in mind, each of these will come with a percentage associated with them. So in the next slide, you'll get a better idea of how much should be spent in each category. So you're not saying I'm going to give away 90% of my money. That's not what I'm telling you to do. But next, you're going to pay for your housing, utilities, food to survive, income earning expenses such as internet, phone, transportation, then your health insurance, then everything else is going to be put towards your debt. Or if you're still in the first checklist, you're going to create your emergency fund. But here you go. This is very important. This is really the meat of this stuff. I really want you to get this. So budgeting percentages for normal people that want to pay off debt. This is the normal way to go about something. And I may even be generous for having most individuals be paying their minimum dues, landing them around 5% of their budget. I think that might be generous, but so this is a very normal approach to debt payoff that usually takes years and years for anyone to become debt free. In each of the following examples that we're going to be going through with the percentages, we'll be using the gross annual national salary of $56,310. I got that from BLS.gov, which is the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Then I calculated the federal income tax against that to get $48,132. That's your net. So some of you may have more income tax, but that's not the point of this illustration. The point is, when you break down a budget like this, you can start to get exact about how much money you can put where. So this is a very normal and standard approach to paying off debt, but we can do better, and I'll show you that in the next slide. But really, giving 10%, mortgage 25%, groceries 10%, utilities 5%, internet, phone 5%, transportation 10%, health insurance 15%, and then 5% down here. So annual expenses that, and then the monthly is $200. That's an average. That's an average thing. That's very, very normal. But we're trying to get out of debt quick. So let's see another example. This is a great example. This is somebody that really wants it. This is not the best that we could do, but this is a very, very, very good start. So here's what I would categorize to be in the great tier. Someone said, this is how I'm breaking down my budget. I'm able to put 30% of my income toward my debt. I'd say, hey, that's great. Nice. You're putting 30% towards your debt. You're maintaining a healthy social life with 10% dedicated to entertainment. For clarity purposes, I put streaming and all those other non-essential services in entertainment. You're still eating well with 10% going toward groceries, $400 a month, $401 per month. It's pretty good. I mean, depending on the size of your family, but usually $400 can go a pretty long way. Yeah. Transportation has been cut down to 5% here. So maybe you're taking the bus, subway, riding your bike, or carpooling more. You're just you're saving more on your health insurance. You possibly got a job that covers more of it, because it's down a little bit. But the real star here is look at the jump between the normal tiered debt category and the great tiered debt category. So when we go back to the normal, your debt is, you pay $2,406 with 5%. When you go down here and you up it to 30%, you're paying $12,000 more towards your debt in a super manageable way. 30%, everything else is virtually the same. Even your mortgage and rent is dropped by 5%. So you'd have to go down a little bit. But all that being said, that's a huge, huge, huge jump. That's going to make a super big impact. And you're doing this by shifting your money around. This is the exact same amount of money for this person with this budget. And it's just knowing where it goes. The people in the great tier have the exact same amount as the people in the normal tier. They're just using it with more intentionality about paying off their debt. Now here we get into the Maniac category. Now this is, we've arrived somewhere. This is the Maniac tier. This is juicy stuff. This is people who really want to get after it. And truly, if I'm being honest with you, I think there's wiggle room to even bump this debt category even higher, which is 60% right now. And however, this is crazy in a really beautiful way. I think you could probably go all the way up to 75%. And then if you're still giving 10%, you can live off of, what is that, 15% left? I think it's possible, but 60%, super crazy and still super doable. So this is in the Maniac tier for obvious reasons. Those in the Maniac tier are incredibly clear about what their why is. This doesn't happen with a weak why. This is going to take discipline. It's going to take sacrifice. But if your why is strong enough and clear enough, it won't feel as big. Or maybe it will, but it will just feel worth it, worth the sacrifice. So let's run these numbers. We got giving still at 10%. Our rent and mortgage has got knocked down to 10%. So you're paying $400 in rent or mortgage somewhere. Groceries are a little lower to 8%. Still eating good at $320 a month. That'll last you for a month, hopefully. Utilities still at 3%, internet and phone still at 3%, transportation at 3%, health and insurance knocked down to 3%. And for health, I also include things like gym memberships, supplements, anything that you do for your physical well-being. That's what the health and insurance category is. Entertainment, chilling at a whopping 0. No more fun for you. Just kidding. That's not true. And I will show you how to still have fun on a zero entertainment percentage budget. But you're cutting out on those dinners out. And then the debt category is bumped up to 60%. 60%. That means you're putting nearly $29,000 toward your debt each year. $29,000 towards your debt each year. That's awesome. Now, if you make less than the national average, have no fear, because I'm proving the point that no matter what amount you make, if you have a solid budget and stick to it, you can find ways to increase your payments toward your debt and lower your overall expenses in order to make it happen. 29,000, that'll go places. So let's talk about the national debt average versus the Maniac tier. And I'm taking these from an article from NerdWallet that did a survey on the American household debt. For this example, I will not be including mortgages, like mortgage debt, but I will be including credit card, auto loan, and student loans. So these are the national averages of debt in each of these categories right here. Boom, 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 boom. From 2019 to 2020, the revolving credit card debt went down by 9%. So that's pretty good. My guess is because in-person shopping and eating decreased drastically, but that's besides the point. The revolving credit card debt, the national average of money, that's pretty much the national average of money that gets carried over month to month. That's not part of, everybody's monthly balance. It's the revolving amount. Revolving amount is $7,149. So if you lived in the Maniac tier for 1 year, you would have paid that debt off and then been up $21,000, $21,730 to 20 cents there. So that's a pretty baller move. Instead of just letting it grow and grow and grow, you could have 21,000 saved in your pocket if you paid it off quickly. If you had an auto loan that was the national average, you'd pay it off with nearly $850 to spare within that year. You'd still come out with nearly $850. And lastly, of course, is the dreaded student loans. If you had the national average student loans, you'd be halfway done paying them off in a single year. $57,000 is the national average, and you'd be pretty much halfway there. Can you imagine being completely debt-free in a matter of 2 years? That would alter your life. You'd be debt-free for the rest of your life just from 2 years of sacrifice, and that's super worth it. So this is the proof in the pudding that it is possible to go super hard on your debt and survive. So let's do making a budget checklist here. Making a budget checklist, we're going to walk right through it, but here's your quick guide to budgeting. The first thing you want to do is calculate your net monthly income and get this stuff ready because we're going to do a live example in the next video. So the first thing you want to do is calculate your net monthly income. Your net monthly income is however much you bring in after taxes. So if you have a 9-to-5 or a W-2 job, they usually take the taxes out of your paycheck before they give it to you. So find out what it is. Pretty much look at whatever your paycheck is. If you are self-employed, this works the same way, except you are going to have to do some calculations. If you get paid a different amount each month, I'd take the last 3 months of income that you've gotten and calculate the average. And don't forget to pay your taxes, though. Uncle Sam will be disappointed if you don't. Secondly, you are going to want to review your past 3 months' expenses. You want to find out the total amount you've spent for each month, but also take a closer look at what recurring expenses are. When you're grocery shopping, do you usually spend the same amount? How many subscriptions do you have? How much did you spend on transportation, etc.? And then lastly, once you find the trends in your expenses, begin to categorize or compartmentalize your expenses. You'll start to find buckets that you can put your expenses into, and they'll just naturally fall into them. Like we saw in the previous category, we had mortgage, food, health, all of those things. You'll be able to see what bucket things go into, but we will cover buckets very soon. So the next slide is why is budgeting so important? Here's the concluding thoughts. Dollars without a purpose, they get wasted. So you got to view your dollars as get out of debt teammates. All these little teammates you bring in have a role in the team to help you get out of debt. They want to play their part. There shouldn't be a single dollar that you bring in that doesn't have a role or purpose on your team. You don't want to waste your teammates' potential, right? So your teammates want to work for you, and they can't if you don't give them a purpose. So budgets are shapeshifters. We can modify our percentages to reflect our priorities. That's a big one right there. Where your money lies, where your treasure lies, your priorities also lie as well. That's a saying. So with the right money practices, discipline, and budgeting, you can get out of debt. I think that these were 3 clear examples of how to do it. So now let's put this into action. Next, I'll be giving you the lowdown on how to track your budget via hand journaling. So bring a pen and notepad with you. I'll see you then.